Well, good afternoon, good morning, good evening. This is FTV, and remember FTV is back better and definitely brighter. Remember, this is your home for sporting actions, deep analysis, and as well as criticism. And today I'm joined by someone who is very conversant with the sport. Kindly introduce yourself, sir.
I'm Gerald Onyango. I'm a professional footballer and a goalkeeper. I used to play for the School of Journalism, the University of Nairobi, and currently I play for Kogere Superstars. They are in Ugenya, Sia County.
Well, you've just said Kogere Superstars, and you've taken me directly to a main issue of focus today. And the main issue is all about what is the space of the Kenyan football in East Africa, Eastern Africa, and continentally. And you've said you play for Kogere club,
Yes.
Kogere team. That is a club back at your up country. Now, can you paint a clear picture on how you can draw a comparison between our top teams in Kenya, clubs, and maybe clubs in Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, and Burundi? That is in terms of East Africa before we go to Eastern Africa.
When you look at the quality, for example, in Kenya we have the quality in terms of personal quality of players, but when it comes to the football as a whole, you will find out that we are not performing as expected, as per the quality suggests. Because when you go to Uganda, you will find a team like Vipers or Kampala FC or Tororo. When you go to Tanzania, you will find Simba, Biashara, Yanga. These are teams which have the quality and they have the good coaching, which supplements their quality and gives them a room to produce good results or fruits in the end. But when you come to Kenya, you will find that we have the quality in terms of players, but on the coaching staff, we have majority of the coaches who are not that much qualified. They are still below par, and they are not given that good environment to thrive in terms of production of talents, football talents. Because, for example, let's take a clear picture of Wazito FC. Wazito FC is a team which is owned by a rich person. You know, that person bought them one-class members. Bought some good players, e.g. some players from the University of Nairobi who currently play for Wazito. But it started well. Then, when they were on their peak, it all became a shamble, and right now they are not performing as expected. When you go to Gor Mahia, for example, you find that there's quality in terms of players, but in the coaching staff, is there quality? Because we only have Zedekaya, who is a non-professional footballer and a coach, but what about the head coach? What about the other coaching staff? Because as a coach, you must have your backroom staff. What are they producing? Are they giving it that much quality that should be there to make the team thrive? I think in Kenya we lack that, and in other countries there is.
That is East African countries. Thank you so much for that insight. And what is the space of now these East African countries, in the East African countries in the entire continent? By this I mean Confederations Cup, the Champions League, and even Sekafa. How do you put, let's say, a team like Gor Mahia, Yanga, Simba, Tororo? How can you draw them? How can you draw them in that bigger picture of now East African Champions League or African Confederations Cup?
When you look at the CAF Champions League, for example, we hardly see an East African team play there. We only see Mamelodi Sundowns, we only see Supersport, we only see Zamalek, Al Ahly, teams which actually produce good results in other regions. But for the Kenyan teams, we hardly see them, not only Kenyan teams, but East African teams.
Apart from Simba,
maybe from TZ Yanga. Yeah. So I think the thing that needs to be done or needs to be talked about is the kind of seriousness that we put in our sports. That is. Because when you go to Al Ahly, for example, is the team from the Egyptians. Is the team which has the most trophies globally in terms of club trophies. When you look at the quality of football and look at how they want to play their football, you will find out that this is a team that can compete against the big giants in the European football. But come to East Africa, maybe Simba, maybe
Yanga.
you never know, Yanga, but now go and look at what exactly make them perform and what exactly make them to be consistent in the CAF, in the SECAFA, in everything. You will find out that these are teams which have put their effort in making that their football proceeds, progresses, and thrives in a different sphere. You know? Yeah.
Now you've just said something about seriousness. And let me just ask you, what is your view on this? Let me just take an example of North African teams. Let me pick Al Zamalek.
Yeah.
You hardly find them play during the day. Most of their games are played from 5, 6, 7, past 5. But now come to our country, Kenya. Most fixtures are fixed as early as 12:30, and during working days. Now, can that bring some lack of seriousness? Because you can't put a fixture at 12:30, let's say on Wednesday, and at that time is a working day for people. You'll hardly draw fans. So can that also be associated with what we see in our local football?
Well, it can be associated with it, but sometimes we need to look at the time zones. For example, in Egypt, we have that period where there's a lot of heat, that which makes them at least to play in the evening. But then again, when you come to the scheduling of these games, there was a time Gor Mahia had a serious case with the programming team of the Kenyan Premier League, when most of their games, the most crucial games, were scheduled for midday, and it was during the weekdays. Fans showed their outrage for the same, because there's no point in scheduling a big game like those ones during the day, and especially in Kenya where we work during the day, and of course you won't expect fans to go and watch their teams play. So I think in Kenya we have this thing of not corruption, I mean, but politics. You know, it's politics that is getting into our football teams, which is making it to be less competitive, but more of comparisons and greed.
All right, thank you so much for that. And also, in addition to that, you said that it seems like we have quality, but that quality is not being utilized. Let me ask you one thing. We've seen players transfer from our clubs to other clubs, or rather to other countries, yet it's quite hard to have players from other countries coming to play for our leagues. What could that simply mean?
First of all, football is a profession, and in a profession you expect pace.
Change.
Yeah. So, for example, let's take an example of Joachim. Joachim, whom we refer to as the Kenyan Van Dijk. He went to Tanzanian league,
yes,
and he's thriving.
Yeah.
The main reason why I think these people leave, the players leave Kenyan football and at least go play in the outside region, let's say in Tanzania, in Sweden, South Africa, and so on, is because of payments, salaries. How do we pay them in Kenya, and how are they paid outside there? In Kenya, you'll find out that you are a very good player, one of the marquee signings for, let's say, in a team like Kariobangi Sharks, for example, but you are paid peanuts, for lack of a better term. You find that a good player, like, let me use just an example of Kogere, though he isn't a Kenyan born player. Let's say he was being paid less than 100k in Gor Mahia. But let's go to Tanzania. You'll be paid almost 500,000 Kenyan shilling per month. You go to Rwanda League,
Zambia.
you go to Zambian League, you go to the Super Sport League in South Africa. They're paid well. And then again we have the delays in payment. For example, in the Kenyan Premier League, there has always been issues. For example, in Gor Mahia, always perennial. Players are not paid, the coaching staff is not paid, and all the other staff are not paid. Or when they are paid, it's a delayed payment. Those are some of the issues that contribute to what we're talking about.
Alright, let me just ask you one thing as you end up the show. Now we have dissected all these clubs. You remember early this year there was SECAFA, not SECAFA, AFCON. And the whole of Eastern Africa, not East Africa, Eastern Africa only had one team. I think it was Sudan.
It was Ethiopia.
Yes. And Sudan. And what could really be wrong? What could have happened? What is wrong with Ugandan Cranes? Our own Harambee Stars, Tanzania, as we end up the show.
First of all, when you look at the Uganda Crane team, We had some players coming back to the international duties late. You know, I can say that maybe it could be because of the teams they play for, the club they play for in the global arena, and maybe they were not released way early, because as a player you need at least 24 hours to relax your body and, you know, take some gymming to at least be flexible and fresh. But then again, that couldn't be a reason not to perform at that level. You look at Ethiopia, for example. They were the first team to arrive. They were the first team to leave, to be eliminated, that is. You look at the quality of football, taking you back to quality, you look at the quality of football that was played, for example, by Burkina Faso, where Bertrand Traore plays. You look at Senegal, which won the tournament. You look at the quality and the playing style, and you come and compare it with the Kenyan playing style. Actually, in Kenya, we don't have a consistent play style. We just hoof it and hope, you know. You look at Benin, just an example, a country, for example. You look at the previous AFCON, Benin displayed some quality football that could only be synonymous to, let's say, Spain's tiki-taka. But come to Kenya, for example, come to Harambee Stars, look at the way they play. I think Kimanzi tried to some extent, but we are still way far behind, including the Ugandan team, including Tanzanian national team, because Tanzania has so many players. We have Bwana Samata, we have there's this guy who plays for a team in Belgium, but do they show the same quality they display in the club football when they come to the international trophy duties? No, they don't.
Need I say more? Gerald Onyango has just nailed it. This is FTV. Remember, FTV is back, better and definitely brighter. I've been your host, Frederick Parsayo. Bye bye. See you next time. Same time, same place. Cheers.